Hello, pretty people. So happy Songkran to everyone, which is the Thai New Year. And I wanted to make a video to address the recent video from Rising, I think it was, with Brianna Joy Gray, or is it Gray Joy? And they had some expert on to talk about um, the new Kennedy candidate and Marianne Williamson, and he was basically a Leonard. He was like, nah, 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 nah. That's basically what I heard him saying. But one of the things that he said that I wanted to rebut was that Marianne Williamson only made the debates once, twice, two times. She was on the debate stage because in the first debate, she tried to open her mouth about reparations and got filibustered by Kamala Harris. And then in the second debate, finally, they had prepared a strategy to shut down any talk of reparations because that shit can go viral. And so they had Don Lemon ready to like ask her about the numbers, and she did really well. But yeah, two times on the debate stage, and Brianna was agreeing with him about the one time, which I think she should have known better. And then I watched Sabby Sab's Sabrina from Revolutionary Blackout Network, and she was also jumping up and down in her seat because there was a lot of things that this expert was saying that she wanted to rebut. And it would have been great to have Sabi on that program because she's very sharp and also she said like it's ridiculous to say that Republicans were donating to Marianne Williamson's campaign and not mention the fact that they were also donating to Joe Biden's campaign. And and also, I mean, he's saying like Republicans donated to her as if it blackens your name to have Republicans donate to your campaign. I think it's a plus. I think it's a good thing if people are crossing the aisle to donate to your campaign, I think anyone can donate even if they're a member of another party. Um, and sometimes not necessarily in good faith. But I mean, the fact that the Orb Gang was formed out of people who kind of wanted to low key make fun of Marianne Williamson and just sort of shitpost a little bit, and then pretty much all of them, or the majority at least of them, became true supporters. So, I don't think that we should trivialize. I don't want to sideline the support that comes from quarters who initially start out just wanting to be comedic. Because actually, laughter is an incredible method of people opening their minds, and also, I mean, we are let's face it, we are living in the Twitter age, which is now transitioned into the TikTok age, and visual and humorous media is incredibly viral. Um, and that is a hard fact. I mean, this expert they had on Rising like to talk about hard facts. The hard fact is that you are living in an entertainment era. And if you want people to slap themselves into the kind of objectivity required to get down into the nuts and bolts of policy, I think that you're going to have a hard time with that strategy. And that's just my opinion. Now, okay, I have several other topics I want to go into in this video. One of them is I'm going to repeat my disclaimer, which is that I hear a lot of people talking about third party, and I know that Sabby Sabs is all about the third party. I cannot speak to that because I am Canadian and I live in Thailand. So I cannot say, I have no opinion about party strategy. I personally think that parties should be dissolved because I think that people get very bogged down in which party you're in and then ignore the policy positions. Um, I also, the reason that I'm advocating for Marianne Williamson and for a presidential candidate as opposed to a movement of unions or working class movements to protest and lobby is because of the fact that I don't live in the States. So, it's not like I can go out and protest. And, but what I can do online is support sort of more figureheads. Um, and I have looked at a lot of figureheads, and I like Shama Savant. And I would support her in whatever she's doing. But I also, I think that because we're dealing with a Hydra, you do need a multi-pronged attack. And I saw something on Twitter, this guy was saying, like, no, but you're legitimizing Marianne Williamson's candidacy, um, and then you're allowing for other people to legitimize it, and that's harmful. Yeah, we are. People are doing that, and I think if you want to live in a free society, you have to allow for that. You have to speak the truth as you see it and allow other people to make the assessment that they think is right. And and that's my answer to that. Um, Now, as to the Ron J. Kennedy candidacy, it's interesting because I agree with Sabby Sabs that you cannot have a candidate who is running on symbolism alone, which she said was what the Biden administration was trying to do. Symbolism alone. I mean, the guy is a symbol. I'm sorry to say this, and this is going to sound a little bit ageist, but um, he's not terribly coherent in the way he speaks at the moment, and the symbolism that I see when I look at Joe Biden is pretty much a sort of benevolent patriarchy, and that's being very, very kind because I know that there are people in the Black community who are furious at him for policies that he um, did in the 90s, and I think probably legitimately so. I haven't done the deep dive that a lot of people have done, but if we're talking about symbolism, like when I look at Joe Biden, it's just another guy, white guy in a suit. Like, what symbolism is good about Joe Biden, apart from the fact that he was the vice president to Barack Obama? Uh, that's very tenuous, actually, unless we're talking about, oh, aristocracy good. Like, whoever has a connection to the last leader should be the new one. That's kind of ridiculous, I'm sorry to say. And So yeah, I'm not as excited about Ron Kennedy as some people are. I understand why they are though. Like I understand Sabby Sabs is excited about the fact that he is very hardline anti-war and very and wants to question things like vaccine mandates and which honestly I would too. I mean, like, I'm glad that we had the COVID vaccine, but if we're talking about mandates, I think people should be allowed to choose whether they take a vaccine or not. Um, in a free society, like, and in that sense, I'm a little bit libertarian. I also like I noticed that there were a lot of people online who said that, oh, I hope people will take vaccines seriously now that we have an actual epidemic. Yes, indeed, we do. We did. And I also hope that people took seriously the side effects of being locked down and, basically all the things that constitute human life, such as sex, such as the freedom to talk to strangers face to face, such as being able to do their jobs in person. Those things were removed from the table in the interest of staying home and staying safe. And life was pretty much, as we know it, suspended. And, uh, and the only thing that was used to supplement that was a virtual existence. And I found that very concerning in a free society. So, especially if you're also considering the effects of social media on depression and things like that. Um, okay, yes, now I'm going to say something that is going to sound prejudicial, but I am not David Pakman or Secular Talk, so I'm allowed to be emotional about things. Um, I think that I want to do both and I don't want to do either or. So when we're talking about a presidential candidate, I want personality with policies. And the thing that I noticed about Ron Kennedy is that his speaking voice is very, he seems to have a condition that makes him very hoarse. Um, And if we're talking presidential, I think the ability to speak powerfully and also reach the back of the room is important. Now, it's just my opinion. You know, if for you presidential means policies, I take my hat off to you. It's for me. I also think that presentation is a part of it, especially during the media crazy age. I also think that it is. I personally think I'm more prejudiced toward a female candidate, not to the extent that I would accept someone like Warren or Harris, but definitely if we're talking about a powerful female leader who has the ability to quote books that I probably could never even read and has them memorized and do it without cue cards and then make that into a substantive argument for a political policy, I think that that is incredibly powerful qualification for the executive branch. And yeah, so I'm a little bit in favor of a female candidate in the same way that it seems to me that the establishment is prejudiced against it. I predict, and I want Marianne Williamson supporters to be a little bit prepared. Um, I predict that the mainstream media will not smear Ron Kennedy as I can't remember his initials as much as they smeared her about the vaccine issue because of the fact, number one, he's a Kennedy, and number two, he's a man, and number three, he's a white man. So I think that there are three boxes ticked there that in their minds is already presidential. Now, the fourth box, which is also very important to them, is that you have to take corporate PAC money, which he, I guess, is not doing. So that's in his favor. And but if you're talking about like who are you excited for, it's still Williamson for me. And some of that is the fact that she's a woman, and another part of that is the fact that she is spiritual, so that makes her relatable for me. And also, but definitely there are policies that Kennedy is in favor of, which I also support. I would say that as well. And but yeah, I mean, there is a bias. Like, and Marianne Williamson should not be surprised or hurt by the fact that there is a kind of patriarchal mindset because don't forget, women just got the vote at the turn of the century. So if you think that there is um, subconscious systematic racism and privilege about like white privilege, there is also systematic privilege that favors the patriarchy, which has been going on for 5,000 years. So, and I mean, I don't want to like make a contest between those two things to try and see which one is more deeply rooted. But, um, but yeah, I mean, like, of course, we're talking about America. G.I. Joe. Like, it is incredibly, and all the Trump voters and all those guys who are really excited for the sort of traditionally masculine action hero kind of type A personality, extroverted male, and as a figurehead. So, of course, there is going to be a bias against a female candidate who is bombastic and seemingly shameless in a lot of ways. Oh my God, she's running for president again. She's becoming a career president, career candidate, or something like that, whatever they said. And after her second run, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to run again when she was the most Googled. Both times she was on the debate stage, 2 times. Okay, I'm done now. Happy Songkran. I'm going to play water with my friends in the street. Love you all.